Welcome back. As always, be sure to leave a comment if you have anything to add to this video, any comments about this series or the channel in general. Also be sure to check out my other channel, WrightCoiceGames, it's one with the orange logo. And just a reminder, I am streaming every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch now at WrightChoiceGames. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Mostly just kind of the same thing as this, but more freestyle and all that jazz. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. So, we have already talked about the potential characters, villain, planet, guns, experimental game mechanics, and enemies of Borderlands 4. And this time, we're going to talk about the DLC. And I know it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to talk about DLC for a game that hasn't even been announced yet. I'm more kind of referring to what potential games as service stuff they're going to implement, because that's really going to affect the whole game and post-launch content, because Borderlands should have good post-launch content just to really keep it going, because it's a game you're supposed to play for a very long time over and over again, repeating certain things. So DLC is kind of a big part of the game, and that's what I'm going to be going over in this video. So events are something they kind of dipped their toe in with Borderlands 3, and it didn't really last long, which I'm okay with because I was never really a big fan of them. I thought that was a bad implementation of them, but events are a big part of a lot of games as service games. I'm not saying Borderlands 4 is going to be games as service games, but it most likely will have certain elements. And I think events could definitely feel their way into Borderlands 4 and actually be good. Not in the way Borderlands 3 implemented them, like I said, though. I'm thinking more like, hey, maybe in a couple months they made a new legendary gun. It's super cool. Maybe give us like 2 weeks of better loot chance to get that gun, and it will be like that gun's week, so it still has like that kind of event feel of like, oh shit, hey, I gotta play Borderlands this week, I kind of want that new gun, I want to check it out. Or give it like a certain boss, like, you know, boss has certain loot designated to them, like their dedicated drops. Give us like a couple weeks randomly, like, hey, it's this boss, now you want to go and farm that boss for this week, just to have that little bit of better chance. Nothing too dramatic, but something to make you feel excited, because I'm not personally one to grind very much, but if there's a gun in particular that I really wanted and I knew this boss had a little better chance of it dropping during a certain week, yeah, I'd probably try during that week. That just makes sense to me, and it gives you an excuse of like, man, you know, I did kind of want that gun. I wasn't really planning on playing Borderlands this week, but fuck, I do want that gun. Let's go try for it. And they can still do their cool themes, like have a Halloween theme, whatever, make Sanctuary be all spooky, Christmas decorations, shit like that during the different holidays and stuff. That's also fun. Not as exciting to me, at least, of the actual like potential of gameplay. Or even like give us like certain missions, so like every Halloween there's like a certain Halloween mission we can do for like the whole month of October. Every Christmas we have like a Christmas mission we can do. I'm not a fan of that as much, because I feel like they should just be like the Headhunter packs, you can do them whenever, even though they are themed around things. But if they're gonna go a games as a service route and they want to have events, I think that would be a much better way to do it than, like I said, what they did in Borderlands 3. And especially how scummy they could get. That's kind of my fear here, is I can see them getting really scummy with these things. So these are kind of more my suggestions on how they could do it, and it's not terrible. Speaking of scummy things that would probably go horrible, microtransactions. Now I know I touched about this a couple videos ago, but I just kind of want to reiterate here because it definitely fits into the DLC category. But basically, don't buy them. It just, unfortunately, the gaming environment now it is right now, especially being bought by 2K, or Take-Two, sorry, excuse me, Borderlands 4 most likely will have some form of microtransactions. Now, if it's all cosmetic stuff, like you want to get the super cool whatever gun charm or make your gun look like a rainbow like how they did in the pre-order bonuses for 3, okay, cool. Go ahead. I don't care. That's all fine with me. But the second you can pay real money for an in-game gun, especially a legendary, like if I can get the conference call and only cost me $5 real life, I'm not buying Borderlands 4. I am boycotting the game. Like that is not okay. That's not what Borderlands is about. And I invite, obviously it's your money, do whatever you want with it. If that's something you want, Okay, that's fine. But that just really feels scummy to me. And I hope that's not what they do. If they're going to have microtransactions in the game, keep it cosmetic. There's nothing wrong with that. Look super cool, whatever. That's fine. But I don't want to have to pay for guns. The point of the game is to get guns. So why the hell would you want to pay for them? Now, the real meat of DLC is the DLC campaigns. And in the past, Borderlands has done them fantastically, and a couple pretty bad ones. But for the most part, they're at least entertaining. Like, Tiny Tina's All from Dragon's Keep. My god. No wonder it became its own standalone piece of DLC, and then got its own spin-off game. Like, that is just, mwah, chef kiss. Fantastic. And I would love to say that, yeah, they should all be to that caliber. They just haven't been. And it's unfortunate. But this is kind of the big chunk of DLC. And I said it in my Borderlands 3 prediction videos, and I'll say it again. To me, Borderlands, or at least DLC in general, should do one of two things, preferably both. Either put us in a situation that the main campaign can't put us in. So, like, that's, again, Tiny Tina's is perfect for that, because, like, yeah, it makes no sense why we would randomly start playing Bunkers and Badasses mid-main campaign. Like, that's a whole side thing. Stuff like that. Throw us in a new world, throw us in a new situation, give us a new whatever that just doesn't fit with the main quest. That's what DLC's for. Or, give us supplemental, and/or, I guess, give us some extra lore on top of it. There should never be a point where if you don't play the DLC, you miss out on big story things for the overall world. That's why I'm a little disappointed in Borderlands 3, how the designer cut, director cut, whatever one add those little pieces of a couple side missions. I completely skipped that my first playthrough. I only very recently played that bit of DLC because I heard that actually some big story stuff happened. I was not going to play it because I played the first mission. I'm like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And at the end, we got some big lore drops, which is fucking crazy. That stuff shouldn't be in DLC. That stuff should be part of the main campaign. So that's crazy to me. I personally don't think they should drop that kind of big stuff in DLC. DLC should be extra materials, like, oh, let's hear this guy's story, like a character that everyone likes, but maybe doesn't fit in with the main campaign too well. Flesh out those kind of stories. That's what a DLC should be. Flesh out all the extra lore in the world. Build the world out more that doesn't directly conflict with the main story. Sorry, that kind of felt like it got a little rambly there, but I think you get the point of a DLC should be complimentary. You shouldn't have to buy the extra content and play through it to understand what's going on in the world. Like, if you play Borderlands 4, you should only have to play the main campaign of the main games to really understand what's going on, is my point. Also, just a couple fun ideas I had. I think it'd be cool to go back to Pandora for a big DLC. Like, that's the whole DLC, was on Pandora, revisiting spots that we were in 1 and 2, and I guess parts of 3, the beginning parts of 3. Like, let's go to Opportunity after it's been destroyed, or the crashed Helio space station. Let's go back to Firestone, or the original Sanctuary City that probably, like, crashed somewhere or whatever. Let's find out what happened to Sanctuary 2, because we don't talk about it, but that'd be something cool to see and explore. Just little stuff like that. Just kind of a nice little nostalgic look back on the past. And for players that haven't played those games, give us the lore, or, like, remind them of the lore of what happened. Like, give us just kind of the Cliff Notes version of, like, oh yeah, I remember this was Jack's Big City. Or, you know, just a brief explanation of whatever the place is to maybe get people interested in going back to those old games. And just be a nostalgic look for the rest of us. Another idea for a DLC would be put us in another game, kind of like Bunkers and Badasses, but even if it's like some digital game on the EchoNet or whatever the hell bullshit they want to do. Like, almost like playing a video game in a video game kind of thing. Like, yeah, it sounds kind of dumb, but I can see them making it fun. Like, tie it into the world, make it a bigger story, much like the Tiny Tina's one. Or make it a different style of board game. There's so many board games out there. Like, also, it'd be cool if we had a DLC styled around Mr. Torg's board game, the Mr. Torg's Arena Badassery, that kind of like figure board game. That's a fun game, I think. And it'd be even cooler to see that in game form, actually playing through that story. And not even like, don't bring attention to it. Let's just play through the Badass Arena Badassery, or whatever the hell the stupid thing it was called. And just play through the campaign the exact same way as that game, but don't mention the game at all. Like, just let the players that have played both kind of make that comparison. Be like, oh shit, we are just going through that, huh? That'd be kind of cool. Also, it's a fun game with a decent enough campaign, so why not make it a DLC? Just kind of a couple little extra ideas here at the end. Playable Vault Hunters as DLC. I would love it. I stand by, that is one of the better ideas they've had for 2 and pre-sequel. But they said a couple times in an interview or whatever that they most likely won't do that again because most players get their Vault Hunter and they play through. That's the excuse they give. I call bull on it. At least me personally, I'm always looking for an excuse to replay it. So I love getting a new playable character later on. And a lot of the playable characters they added became my favorites. Like, I fucking love Creed. I love Handsome Jack, or actually more Aurelia. She's fun to play as. Like, stuff like that. Like, that was just such a fun reason to go back. And then later on, like years later, when I feel like replaying these games, now I got 6 options of who I want to play as, and it's just so much better. I love that they have DLC characters. Unfortunately, I really doubt we're going to get them again because they said on record, at least that was their excuse. Who knows how true it is or whatever. It might just be their reason to be lazy. But there is still a good chance we are going to get some DLC skill trees again, which is cool in its own right. Personally, I'd like a whole new character, but I'll take what I can get, I guess. Another kind of extra thing here at the end, though, would be like a battle pass or whatever the hell they want to call it. Because that also just kind of fits in with the games as a service. And that's a terrible idea for Borderlands. They almost tried to do it with 3. Like, they added those weird 3 tabs, and it kind of felt like a battle pass because you play through it to earn keys to unlock stuff. I don't know. Whatever that was, get rid of it. It was weird. Like, I guess that was their way to introduce cosmetics, and I'm pretty sure it was free. So I guess if it's a choice of that over microtransactions where you had to pay for the cosmetics, I'll definitely take that any day. But it just seemed weird and just didn't mesh with anything, and I didn't really get the point of it. I just pretty much ignored it, and nothing really changed. So if they're going to introduce like cosmetics and guns later, I would rather they do it in that kind of event style I mentioned earlier. Like, just kind of throw it out in the world and say, hey, this week, this boss will drop it higher percent, whatever. Something like that, I think would be much better. And if they do add some kind of battle pass, well, what the hell are they going to add on to it? Again, if they put like guns behind there, fucking no, I'm not paying for guns. If they put cosmetics behind there, okay. And if they release it for free, so I guess you just kind of work towards and get more cosmetics, then I'm okay. That's good with me. Like, whatever, just more something to play for if you want to keep playing the game for that reason. That seems like a weird reason to keep playing. Borderlands has always had a lot of reasons to keep playing, and that just seems silly to me. But hey, if it works for some people, fine, I guess throw it in there. But if they're asking for 10, 20 bucks for it, I'm just not paying for it. I guess if they still want to throw it in there for the people that want it, okay. But that just seems like a weird choice. I apologize for putting this in the extra section. It really deserves its own section, but I don't personally play them that much, so I don't have a lot to say about it. That's why I put it here. But the takedowns they had in Borderlands 3. Like I said, I don't play it. That's just not the kind of person I am playing these games, and I realize that I'm in the minority there. Most big Borderlands fans, that's the kind of stuff that you guys seem to want. And I agree. Like, that sounds cool. And I like that they have it for you. It blows my mind that they didn't add more to 3. So I'm hoping the fact that they didn't means that they're more gearing up for 4, and they're going to add more stuff like that in 4. So I really hope that they do. It'd be crazy for them not to have more takedowns or takedown-like modes, like have kind of raids or whatever you want to call it, whatever word you want to slap on it. Have stuff like that. Even if it's added later. It should have a few at launch, really. But if not, that should be one of the main focuses later on. If you want to add little bits of content in between the big story DLC, like campaigns, that's the kind of stuff that people seem to really want and gravitate towards. And even though, like I said, it's not really for me, I understand why everyone likes it so much, and I'm rooting for you guys. I think that, yes, they should have more of that if that's what the people want. That about does it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please leave a comment if you have anything to add to this video, because obviously DLC, it's such a broad category. There's so many different things to talk about. What DLC campaigns would you like to see? Do you want more takedowns? Stuff like that. Leave it down in the comments. I'm always willing to have a discussion with you guys. Also, just a reminder that I am streaming every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Twitch now at WrightChoiceGames. So yeah, feel free to stop in, say hi, talk Borderlands with me. Kind of usually do a little, almost like a test run of these videos, kind of going over whatever prediction I'm going to be talking about for this video the Wednesday before. So just kind of like a good chance to bounce ideas back and forth, and we'll see where it goes. Also, be sure to join me next Friday when we are finally tackling story. I keep pushing that one back because I think that's going to be a big one, because I have a lot of ideas and I want to finish New Tales from the Borderlands, because I never actually played that yet. And it's awful. I'm struggling through it now, but I want to get all the story content possible in the Borderlands universe done and out of the way before I tackle the story predictions video, and that'll be done by next week. So it's going to be a big one. So if you have any story predictions, leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to include it in that video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.